Sovereign District by Matthew Russell Lee. I. What allows a district to be sovereign? They used to have their own building, the Sovereign District of New York. Built in the same style as the notorious jail next to it, where Jeffrey Epstein died, it still stands but empty in front of NYPD's One Police Plaza. The Southern District prosecutors now share 26 Federal Plaza with a plethora of other agencies. The building hired an outside security firm. One of their guards coerced a Burmese asylum seeker into sex in a second-floor storage room. The Sovereign District let him plead out to false statements. It was unclear if the victim of the crime that went away was even notified, much less consented. Similarly, when SDNY prosecuted Patrick Ho of the China Energy Fund Committee for paying bribes inside the United Nations, they never charged any of the UN bribe takers, perhaps fearing a loss on the issue of diplomatic immunity. But what kind of sovereignty is that? In 2025, former SDNY prosecutor Emile Beauvais, who signed a nolle prosequi after the office's discovery abuses on a violator of Iran's sanctions, and whose subsequent representation in an anti-CCP case his former colleagues had tried to end, was now the number 3 at Main Justice. Beauvais returned to test the sovereignty of the district. To some, it was like the horror movie Carrie. A carefully groomed new U.S. attorney, if only acting, took a photo in a courtroom with flag and then fell on her sword. Another, Hagen Scotton, once accused by defense counsel for Rudy Giuliani ally Lev Parnas of making threats about sidearms and one bullet in the hallway of 40 Foley Square, took aim more directly at the sovereign renegade, Beauvais. Everyone will land on their feet, even as most of the convicted remain confined. But what does it mean to be sovereign? 2. Who's gonna file this thing? The predictions that the case against Adams would be dropped were growing louder and louder. Hearings were pushed back, and acting U.S. Attorney Sassoon, who had replaced Damian Williams, went down to D.C. with ASA's David Wickstrom and Hagen Scotton, as did Adams' lawyer Alex Spiro. Spiro was simultaneously representing JZ/K/ Sean Carter in SDNY, after Houston-based plaintiff's lawyer Busby brought Jay into one of his civil suits against Sean Combs. Spiro was going blowtorch in both cases, but seemingly getting further for Eric Adams, given the different terrain. Finally, it happened. Emile Beauvais, who after leaving SDNY had represented crypto fraudster Eddie Alexander and then Trump, wrote a memo to Sassoon directing her to move to dismiss the case. But Sassoon did nothing, at least nothing that could be seen in the courthouse. She wrote a letter to newly confirmed Attorney General Pam Bondi, seemingly for public consumption. Then she resigned. Kurt Wheelock was in the SDNY Magistrates Court. He asked 2 of the ASAs who were there on other cases, they will remain nameless even here, about Sassoon resigning. "We can't comment on that," one of the 2 ASAs told Kurt. Another, coming out of the U.S. Attorney's satellite office by the arraignment's part, told Kurt, "It's true." And it was. That night, Kurt went across Foley Square and up Duane Street, and stood in front of the side entrance of 26 Federal Plaza. No one went in or out. Anyway, the motion to dismiss, when it came, would be by ECF, filed electronically, and not delivered by hand.